This is Barry Zalma on Insurance. I'm an attorney who has retired from the practice of law and now spend my time as an insurance claims consultant or expert witness, an author, and producer of these videos. Today I'd like to talk about the California Special Investigative Unit regulations that are now required to take effect in their amended form on October 1, 2020. If you are an insurer who does business in the state of California and have any claims operations, you are required by state law and by regulation to comply with the requirements of the new, revised, and more detailed California SIU regulations. These new regulations are designed to enforce the statutes requiring insurers to maintain a special investigative unit and investigate crimes of insurance fraud perpetrated against the insurers. I have completed a resource for everyone involved in the insurance industry in the state of California to enable them to comply with the newly revised California SIU regulations, since the revisions add much to the obligations of insurers doing business in California, and have unpublished my earlier book on the SIU regulations that was written when they were first enacted. The new book, California SIU Regulations 2020, is a book that explains the revised SIU regulations and is now available from Amazon.com as both a Kindle book and as a paperback. These regulations and this book can help you comply with the regulations. From the table of contents, you will note that the book will cover the SIU regulations, the fraud division, the detailed analysis of the SIU regulations with commentary, the SIU Investigator, the full text on the Special Investigation Unit regulations as they come into effect on October 1, 2020, how to identify insurance fraud, the Insurance Frauds Prevention Act's full text, an outline for training of integral anti-fraud personnel, since the regulations require that every insurer no later than, I believe, April of 2021, train all of their integral anti-fraud personnel so that they can comply with the regulations. What property insurance fraud red flags look like, the red flags of fraud at the time a policy is acquired, red flags of fraud associated with the insured, red flags of fraud in personal injury, red flags of fraud in the payment of premiums, red flags of fraud with regard to vehicles, red flags of fraud with regard to an insured's occupation, red flags of fraud dealing with the insured's personal demeanor, red flags of fraud with regard to the insured's timing of a visit to an agent or broker, red flags of fraud on how they can make a fake appraisal, a plan for document recording and file retention required by the regulations, and forms to assist the insurer in complying with the regulations. The book is designed to assist California insurance claims personnel, claims professionals, independent insurance adjusters, special fraud investigators, private investigators who work for the insurance industry, the management in the industry, the attorneys who serve the industry, and all integral anti-fraud personnel working with a California admitted insurer who must comply with the requirements of the California SIU regulations that were rewritten and are now operative October 1 of 2020. The state of California, by statute, requires all admitted insurers to maintain a special investigative unit, an SIU. The SIU must comply with the requirements set forth in the Special Investigative Unit Regulations, what we call the SIU Regulations, and train all integral anti-fraud personnel to recognize indicators of insurance fraud. And that's why the book lists dozens, if not hundreds, of red flags of insurance fraud. It is necessary, therefore, that insurance personnel who are engaged in any way in the presentation, processing, or negotiation of insurance claims in California must be familiar with the SIU regulations. The state has imposed on all claims personnel duties to deal with insurance fraud if the insurers are doing business in the state. California licensed insurers are required by California Insurance Code sections 1875.20 through 24 and California Code of Regulations Title 10 sections 2698.30 through .41 to establish and maintain special investigative units that identify and refer suspected insurance fraud to the California Department of Insurance and directly to the local California County District Attorney's offices for workers' compensation claims only. The regulations also require each insurer to submit an SIU annual report to the Department of Insurance, which provides important information regarding the insurer's SIU anti-fraud operations, procedures, and training material. The SIU Compliance Review Program evaluates the accuracy, completeness, and timeliness of the report. The reports are used by the Department of Insurance to conduct a risk assessment to help determine which insurers are selected for SIU compliance review. Risk criteria include, but is not limited to, prior SIU compliance review findings as well as follow-up on recommendations and corrective compliance plans, discrepancies and/or non-compliance issues identified by analyzing the SIU annual report, quality and/or quantity of suspected insurance fraud referrals to the California Department of Insurance known as EFD1s, FD1Ss, and SFCs, and referrals to California County District Attorney's offices for workers' compensation. Lines of insurance that are relatively risky and susceptible to fraud. Nature and/or quantity of complaints received against a particular insurer. Market share of the insurer. Late or no response to written information demand letters from the department or other authorized governmental agencies like the district attorneys and the California Department of Insurance Executive Directive. By following the training recommendations in the book California SIU Regulations 2020, insurers can inoculate themselves against the potential for paying enormous fines to the Department of Insurance for failure to fully comply with the amended SIU regulations. The appendices in the book include outlines to be used by a staff member of the insurance company SIU, its trainers, educators, or lawyers, to present a training class for all of the integral anti-fraud personnel of the insurers as defined by the SIU regulations. And those integral anti-fraud personnel are just about anybody working for an insurer. Insurers must understand that every claims employee must be trained in accordance with the requirements no later than 30 days after the person is hired and annually thereafter. As it is not economically reasonable to train one new employee, the California SIU Regulations 2020 book can provide the needed training without the additional expense of a training class for one or two persons. California SIU Regulations 2020 and its appendices will provide the insurer and its staff with the information needed to comply with the SIU regulations and will provide the training required for what the SIU regulations describe as one of the insurer's anti-fraud personnel. The book is available as a Kindle book and as a paperback at Amazon.com, and links are available on my blog and on my website Zalma.com by clicking on the link to the insurance claims library and searching for the SIU regulations. If you found this video to be useful to you, please refer it to your colleagues. It's free. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Rumble channel, my blog, so that you can learn about future blog posts and future videos. Thank you for your attention.